Welcome to another Boardwalk Custom Builders Instructional. In this video, we're breaking down the difference between racking and leveling a wall. It can be confusing. Sometimes it feels like you're doing the same thing twice, but where you place your level makes all the difference. Here at Boardwalk, we like to start a building from the outside and work our way in. Out of all the floors, the ground level has the most steps, and racking exterior walls is one of them. It's something we don't usually do on the floors above, but on the ground floor, we don't have anything to nail into except concrete. That's why we stand the wall without any sheathing. We can't reliably square it while it's lying down. Although we're just talking about racking and leveling in this video, you'll hear some other terms depending on whether the wall is on the ground or already stood up. The term squaring a wall will get its own video, but for now, just know that racking a wall is the same thing as making it square. To start racking a wall, you want to make sure the bottom plate won't slide and isn't hanging over any of the chalk lines on the concrete pad. Like in this example, if the plate isn't placed exactly on the chalk line, you're actually racking or leveling the wall wrong. What you see us doing here is prepping the corner for racking. Since it's a corner, we don't really use the term level in this case. I say that because racking to a corner is basically the same as leveling the walls that tie into it. I'll say that again. Racking a wall is really just leveling any walls that run perpendicular into it. In this example, you can see that we're racking a wall. When it's pushed, the wall in the center of the screen gets pushed out, and that's fine because that's where the level says it needs to be. But here's the thing, that point of the long wall is actually level. What's really happening is the wall pushing into it is being racked to get everything squared up. You should now have a good idea of the difference between racking and leveling. When I start racking a wall, I like to use a 2x4. That way, you're not wasting nicer material, and I nail it just under the double top plate. It's best practice to keep it below the top, especially on interiors, because you can't pull the brace off until the floor above is sheeted. It works kind of like sheathing does. It holds the wall in place to keep it racked. When I attach a brace, I like to use a length that forms a clean right angle when you look at it. A longer brace can help if the wall's being stubborn, but usually adding a lever gives you the extra push you need. Once it's braced, we use laser levels to fine-tune everything and make it as exact as possible. Where you place the laser matters. You can set it right on the plate or butt it against the side if the edge is waned. Now you're ready to push that wall into its forever home. With the bottom still loose, I use my cat's paw as a lever and drive it into the green plate. Then I push against it until I see the laser dot just brushing the top of the wall. And once it lines up, I shoot it off. If the wall needs to come toward you instead, you can flip the brace in the other direction or use a lever to pull it into place. So that's how you rack exterior walls. Once those are sheeted, we move on to the interiors. After the unit is built and the bottoms of the interior walls are glued and pinned to the concrete, you're ready to start leveling. This is where things get a little more detailed, and you'll see how racking still comes into play to get everything lined up clean. Leveling a wall to a racked wall is actually pretty simple. As long as you know the bottom plate is placed right, you can use a laser level either on the plate or up against it, whichever makes the dot easier to see. Then grab a properly sized ladder so you can reach the top of the wall. The racked wall I'm tying into here is taller than the one I'm leveling, so I'm nailing into the draft stop block, but you could also use a backer block behind it. Now watch as I absolutely blow out this corner, and later cry about this abysmal camera shot while editing. Interior walls that tie into other interior walls are much less likely to blow out. On the double top plate, you'll usually see layout marks that were made before the wall was stood. One part of the top plate gets left off where it ties in, which makes things simple, because once the wall you're tying into is racked, all you have to do is pull your wall to it and nail it off, and it'll come out level too. Just like with exterior walls, once interior walls are racked, any other walls they tie into, even exterior ones, will end up level too. The process for racking them is the same, though there is such a thing as too much bracing. My rule of thumb is, If the wall goes back to its racked or level position after giving it a good shove, it's fine. So hopefully you get the difference between racking and leveling by now. Let's move into some tips. They only really help with leveling, since racking's one of those things you just have to do the long way. My favorite trick to use is just my measuring tape. What I mean by that is, if you've got a wall that's loose from the one it's tying into, and there's a parallel wall nearby that's already locked into a racked wall, you can just measure. Take a measurement between the bottom plates where they're nailed down, and then match that measurement at the top, like I'm showing here. So that's racking and leveling, and a few ways to make it a little easier. Once you've done it a few times, it starts to feel natural, but if you're ever unsure, just fall back on the basics. Know where your wall starts, where it's going, and don't be afraid to use a lever. If you've got your layout right, the rest is just pushing and pulling till it lines up. Thanks for watching. If you've got any tricks I missed, drop them in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.